Welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
We're back.
We're back.
It's only been a couple days.
Feels like yesterday.
Almost. Almost. We recorded on Friday night, got the episode out Saturday morning, and now Sunday we're recording again. This will go out, I guess, sometime Monday or something like that.
We did good this weekend.
Yeah, we had a productive weekend, at least for pop culture stuff.
Right.
A lot of Westworld. A lot of Fallout 76 with a friend of
Yes,
ours.
a lot.
Yep.
A lot of food.
It's pretty much it. Eating, sure.
Is it Eat Fest?
I tried to take an extra, like a cheat day from my diet, and then it all started to fall apart after that. I tried to get a salad for dinner tonight. Grocery stores were closed. It is Easter, to be fair, but the grocery stores were closed.
To be fair.
Nowhere. I couldn't find anywhere with a salad. Even McDonald's, which usually has like a bunch of different kinds of salads you can get, they're not serving any during the pandemic.
Yeah, people cough on lettuce all the time.
Which is making me afraid that now that's just going to be a hard thing to find.
We should grow our own. I want to make our own little garden area.
Okay. I mean, it's Southern California. We don't have land exactly.
No, I just make little beds.
Okay. Well, give it a shot.
I will.
All right. You should turn our little tiny front yard into a garden and then see what happens. Dogs will eat our vegetables. I don't know.
The rabbits would eat all our carrots.
Oh, yeah. Well, rabbits would do that anyway, wouldn't they?
And the raccoons and the ducks.
We have neighborhood ducks. It's this cute little pair, a boy and a girl duck that wander around together.
I haven't seen them in a couple days.
I think they just found a new part of the neighborhood.
All right,
I saw someone
They're making their rounds.
posting pictures of them on Facebook.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they're still around. But we're not here to talk about ducks. We're here to talk about Westworld.
Westworld.
Party time.
Excellent.
Dolores gonna kill us all.
Dang, she's badass.
Yeah, she is. I really like this season.
Yes, I like this season.
I love season 1. Season 2 was such a mind fuck.
Yep.
I had a real hard time with it. Didn't hate it, but it was rough. This is just a good time.
I agree. They've worked out the jolts.
There are many less jolts. How about that?
Yes.
Many less jolts. And this episode was pretty sequential, but there were a bunch of flashbacks to Sirach's story coming up. Enguerrand, maybe I'm saying that right. Enguerrand Sirach. So we got to see his story from boyhood through Rehoboam.
Right. His brother and him were like brainiacs and created
Rehoboam. What?
I was thinking of what he said, how he pronounced it. And I think he said Rehoboam.
You think?
No,
less
I don't
syllables
know.
than I'm saying?
Rehoboam.
Well, I've been saying Roho, but it's actually Reho.
Rehoboam.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He didn't say Rehoboam.
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's go through his story real quick, and then we'll just work our way through what the rest of the episode was about. We saw the flashback to Paris being decimated by something. Still don't really know what it was. But it was just him and his brother. They had a scene where they were walking through the countryside, touching the wheat with their fingertips. Did that remind you of anything? That was very much I believe season 1 thing with like Maeve and.
Oh, right. Yes.
They were walking through the field.
You're right. Ooh.
So yeah, I mean, life just kind of sucked, I guess. So, they decided humankind needed a god, and that led them to make Rehoboam. There was a big time jump there between these two little boys in the pastoral, if irradiated countryside of Paris to suddenly being super geniuses.
Right. Well, and I love how they're taking his love letter to Rehoboam. And that's how they're telling the story.
Oh yeah, it's like narrated to
Right.
the computer,
Right.
which is interesting. I wonder if that's
My
going
beloved.
to
I
come
think he
back.
calls her several times.
My sweet. Let me kiss you. Yeah, but it's an interesting thing because when was he narrating his story to the computer? Was it a while ago? Was it in present time? Or is this going to be something
in the future?
It turns
sure.
out before he dies or
Right.
something, he tells his story to the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll probably die. Right.
Everybody dies.
Not everyone really lives. Okay, so more of his story. They wanted to build a god, so that would require data. So they made a deal with this guy, Dempsey. Liam's dad, Mr. Dempsey. I don't know if they gave him a first name, but Mr. Dempsey, who had this company called Insight, which had all of the world's data, and they made a deal. So they started working on iterations of Rehoboam.
Right. And Dempsey was not happy with them after, I don't know, 7 years or something, or $7 million or something.
He was not. But the first note I took, just because I want to know what the fuck Rehoboam is they were first calling their computers like David and Solomon and stuff like that. Like Solomon was the one that they were demoing and it wasn't working yet. Or so Dempsey thought, right? So where did this name come from? I'm still going with Googapplazon. I actually got one little piece of feedback on that. Thank you to Jacob, who said, what did he say? Let me just find that real quick. Yeah, he had a better idea for a name. I think it was, he thinks it should be Amagoogapp.
Amagoogapp. No, Amagoogapp. That's too hard. Amagoogapp. Amagoogapp.
It sort of has a rhythm to it.
All right, I'll try it on for a while.
Amagoogapp. You try that. I'll say Googapplazon, and we'll see. If anyone wants to throw their hat in the ring, which one do you like better?
Or do you have something else?
Or Googapplazon. But whatever it is, we know it's going to take over.
Already has.
So yeah, it was David or Solomon, right? We saw little Liam. He was there admiring the computer, which was cool looking with all the big red lights flashing and all that. He said his brother was a troubled mind. We don't really get to the extent of what that means exactly, but
he was kind of fucked up,
I guess. So Sirach says.
Or his brother didn't want to do that.
Also possible. His brother could be the scapegoat in all this. So yeah, Dempsey was not impressed. He was going to pull the plug on the whole project. And then they keep putting their stuff together before it's too late. And they show him stock market simulations. And the future,
right.
And so, ka-ching, they can make a lot of money with this. And Dempsey was all excited about that. But Sirach was like, yeah, real power. There's also real power.
Right.
We can reshape the world. It's not just about the money. Money. Okay. They can make order from chaos. Dempsey got greedy, so they locked him out of the system. Which we had heard about, I think, in episode 1 or 2. That Liam didn't really have full access to the system either, but like his dad used to, and they kicked him out, and really only this other guy, the unnamed partner, Sirach, was in charge. But they did note that some people didn't fit in the simulation. Some people are unpredictable.
Right.
Yeah.
And those people they try to weed out.
Well, his brother was one of them, unfortunately. His brother was a force of chaos. Again, so Engeron Sirach says about other Sirach. They didn't say his name. It came up in the subtitles. It was like Jean Lin or something like that, but they never said it out loud, I don't think. So Dempsey was getting curious about what Sirach was working on, goes to visit him, and there's this whole facility set up somewhere underground, I think, where they are experimenting on people, including brother.
Right. I was trying hard to follow along there because I was like, what is going on? So please explain.
Me?
You.
Well, he did mention an excuse of like what they were saying the experiment was all about, which had something to do with their radiation exposure. I assume that had to do with Paris in childhood, that they were exposed to radiation.
Right.
So it was probably a nuke, right? But that's not what was really happening. Sirach had figured out that with the right genetic, poking around, you could edit people and make them different. So and then he said his brother was part of this program because he was in Rehoboam trying out different scenarios. And when Dempsey's all accusatory, he's like, well, one of the scenarios was murdering you, Mr. Dempsey.
Right.
Right. And all of that eventually ends up with Sirach and Dempsey taking a trip out to the desert. We don't know what happened to Bro. He's probably still in that facility somewhere, I'm guessing.
Right.
We'll see
Poor
him.
people.
We'll see him again. And Dempsey's saying, you're crazy. This is no good. We should tell everybody about the trials you're doing. These human experiments are no good. And Sirach says, well, if you tell everybody, that would end the system. It would no longer be valid if people knew what was going on. They're out in the desert. Not a good sign. There's some smoke. It turns out it's a plane crash, but actually it's Dempsey's plane. And they staged the plane crash so that Sirach could bash Dempsey's head in.
Right.
You were taken aback by that. I was taking notes, so I might have missed. Maybe I should rewatch that scene.
Well, he bashed his head, I think, 3 times. And after the first one, I think he was still normal. Second one, he pulls his head back and it's kind of like elongated a little bit. Squashed.
I think I do want to rewatch that scene thing because that's the sort of thing I would
a good effect.
dig. All right, cool. So that's how Dempsey died. He died in a plane crash as far as anyone knows, but it was actually Sirach doing it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty brutal.
And Liam had to, well, maybe grow up without a dad isn't the right word because Sirach was very young when we saw little boy Liam. And then it was sort of current day looking Sirach that killed Dempsey. So Liam was probably a young adult by that point. Yeah, but he's just been living off his daddy's money ever since. All right, so that was the Sirach backstory. Good information. I'm sure there's a lot more to come. Only 3 episodes left, though. Did you notice that?
Well, yes, you told me that.
Well, it was in the next week thing.
I did not notice that, no.
All right, fine. Yeah, so this is not a 10-episode season. This is only 8 episodes.
It kind of sucks.
Maybe it's better that way. They don't have to stretch it out. Like, it's everything we've always asked for other shows, like American Horror Story. Make the season shorter, have less weird, side plots that don't make any sense. That sort of thing. All right, so anyway. This episode, we have Sirach in Portugal warning a dude about some separatists that are apparently a force of chaos. They're going to cause problems. The dude kind of pushes back and he's like, well, I mean, I guess I could work on this, but what if I don't want to? And Sirach makes it clear that they can have him taken out in the night and then replaced.
With somebody that will do his bidding, right?
Right. They got him elected. Maybe that guy doesn't even know that. But he made it clear, like, you're going to do what I said, and that's that. And he feels confident just walking away. And he spends the rest of the episode on an airplane, flying from Portugal.
Lucky guy. But he's all alone.
Is he, though?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got everybody in the world at his fingertips. Just their data sheets, but still. Okay. What else? On the airplane, you find a guy comes and talks to him and says, Rehoboam found connections between a bunch of different encrypted devices. One of them's in Los Angeles. They were all over the world. But the one in LA is a problem because Liam has gone missing. And then they have some security footage of Dolores. So Sirach's starting to get a little worked up.
Right. He's like, he's about to have a panic attack.
Yeah. Of course, he won't actually have a panic attack.
Actually, an anxiety attack, I should say.
He's too cool for that.
I don't know. He went.
I think that was by the end of the episode. Like he was smashing his hand down on a table, starting to lose his cool, which is good. Okay, so then we cut to Dolores and Caleb and Liam. They're all on the run right now. Of course, Liam doesn't want to be there. He has his glasses, and apparently his glasses just scan someone's face. It's the ultimate end game of Google Glass, right?
Right.
That quote unquote abandoned project that I bet you anything Google's still working on. You can just look at someone and suddenly pull up their Rehoboam data sheet, right? And Dolores isn't in the system.
Right.
Oops. Yeah, that's a little worrisome for Liam. And she says that Sirach might be coming for him because Sirach just found out that Liam is trying to outbid him for control of Delos. And Liam's like, what now? So that must be what they're doing with Liam's money.
Right.
What are they going to do if they own Delos? I mean, is Dolores going to put on a suit and go to like stockholder meetings? I mean,
I don't know. She's going to probably either destroy it or figure out her end game,
I guess. All right. So then Dolores is scouting ahead. Liam tries to buy off Caleb, but that does not work out. Caleb is maybe all in with Dolores, maybe not, but he's not going to do Liam's stuff. That's just not an option.
Mm-hmm.
But Liam gets close enough to pull out this little drug injector that he got at the orgy last episode and stick it into Caleb's neck.
Seems kind of dangerous carrying that stuff around. I mean, you'd accidentally poke it into your thigh or where how are they keeping these things?
Well, but it's a recreational drug, so if you accidentally poke it into your thigh, that's probably fine. I mean, he was supposed to use it that same night.
Well, you don't want to do it like when you're in school or something.
Well, you're right.
You can't just carry that around in your pocket.
I guess that's true. I can't argue that. You would not want that in school. Sticking in your pocket. You're right.
Or work.
Right. That would cause me some problems.
Anyway, move on.
I don't know if they said the name of the drug last episode, and I'm not going to go back and look just for that.
Actually.
Did they say it was called Genre?
Yes.
Huh, you remember that.
They said it when they gave it to him.
Okay, cool.
He said, I don't really know what it's like. It's called Genre. It's the next new thing, dude.
It's a good impersonation of his friend. So this drug, Genre, knocks Caleb on his ass for a minute, and then we start to get a feel for what this is all about when everything turns into film noir.
Right.
For Caleb.
It was almost like Roger Rabbit. Or what was that spinoff from Roger Rabbit after that? It wasn't a spinoff, but it was like New York City with...
The Baby?
No.
Like the Baby's cartoons were in black and white?
I
don't know. If there was an actual spinoff of Roger Rabbit,
it was like Sin City or something. I don't remember the name. Remember, it was with...
Well, the Sin City movies, yeah, they had nothing to do with Roger Rabbit, but they were black and white.
Right.
With little splashes of color. Those are based off other comic books. But it was like that. Everything's very crisp black and white. It seems like Caleb should be able to function fine like that, except he's also hearing music, like this dramatic piano music. I think that's in his head. Right.
It's either for our effect or in his head, which I like to believe it's in his head. Because
I think cool. It was. It seemed like that music was swelling more every time we went to the black and white Caleb perspective of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's that. Dolores' motorcycle was following them, but then she tells that thing to bug off, and they get a rideshare vehicle. And at that point, they're being followed by Sirach's men, very clearly, and then another future bad use of technology. Their rideshare vehicle is hijacked and stopped because someone called an Amber Alert on it.
I could see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a thing, but I guess maybe it's an indictment of self-driving cars, but we're definitely going that direction. No one wants to drive to work.
Right.
But much like...
Everybody's going to pay like $500 a month for your ride share, like as much as you want. Unlimited.
Well, I mean, your Teslas can sort of self-drive themselves now.
Almost. They wouldn't crash.
Close. Right. People are falling asleep on the highway, even though they're not supposed to. They're supposed to keep their hands on the wheel, but they're not.
My car has driver assistant. It freaks me the fuck out all the time. It will slam on the brakes when it doesn't need to. It's scary.
I haven't had that happen to me. Maybe just
Or it'll
once.
try to, it'll think it sees, lines in the road, and it'll try to steer it.
Right. If it thinks that you're deviating from a lane, it starts to, shake the steering wheel and warn you.
I want to turn it off, but then I'm like, well, what if it saves my life?
Yep. I've thought the exact same thing every time I've driven your car. Okay, so yeah, Amber Alert, possible. It's like the guns from last episode where Maeve hacked them with her brain and made these guys shoot each other. Mm-hmm. Now, once you have fully online everything, anything could potentially be hackable. All right, so the Flight of the Valkyries starts, his next genre change. At least we're in color again, just in time for the shooting to begin. Mm-hmm. Liam winds up having to help Dolores hack into the car, and they use Dolores' tablet to get access. He does his handprint or whatever because he has access to the whole system. And that leads us to a chase scene. Whee!
Yay! They didn't look like they were going very fast.
Right. Kind of a slow speed chase scene. That rideshare vehicle was
They have limits. All cars do.
Yeah, and this one, like they had it at 100% acceleration, and you see this dramatic shot of it like coming up over a slight incline on the Los Angeles streets, and it looks like it's going, maybe 45 miles an hour. So there have been better chase scenes in that regard, but Dolores does give Caleb a really cool gun, rocket launcher.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or grenade launcher, I guess I would say.
Much like the one you use.
In Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Except this one, cooler, because Caleb misses his shot, but then the thing sails way up into the air and then does its own little thing and turns around. So it's a super-seeking, self-powering, intelligent grenade cannon.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe a little unrealistic, but very cool. So they blow up one of the cars. Another one's coming. They're about to do a showdown, but Dolores has summoned her little motorcycle and told it to arm itself.
It's like her dog.
I feel bad
it's
for
her
that
little
thing.
horse.
Well, yeah, it's like if you told Sophie to sacrifice herself to save your life. Poor little dog of thrones.
She's laying on our bed right now with her little belly in the air.
I'm fascinated how she can be asleep in one position, and if you say her name, her eyes will open and she'll start surveying the scene, but her body won't move at all.
It's like a dragon.
And now she's back asleep again. She just did like a little sleep twitch with her little paws. Right. So the motorcycle sacrifices itself.
Aww. There's
still a shootout after that, though. And as Dolores is starting to fire, the genre changes again.
To romance.
Romance, yeah.
It was pretty good.
The theme from Love Story.
Yeah.
Plays.
It was a good laugh.
Mm-hmm. But thankfully, just as Liam's about to get shot by one of these spooks, I just wrote Cal's crime buddies. I know they have names, but I don't remember them. I don't think they were addressed in this episode either. So his crime buddies from the crime app, they show up and they decide to help. They shoot the guy that's going to kill Liam, and they help with the rest of the shootout. Everyone's dead. They have a second to catch their breath. And they take one look at Caleb, and that one guy's like, I know what you're on. But he says, watch out for the final act. Like, I was expecting something really bad and crazy to happen.
What was it?
I don't know. That's the problem. I actually don't know. And I was trying to track these as the episode went on. But I never really caught on what exactly the final.
I don't remember what happened at the end of this episode. So
they had some flashbacks, but I thought that was just him, not necessarily the drugs. But we'll get there. All right. So Dolores, they were all walking away. Dolores starts telling Liam her plan. She needs to get into his system from her end while someone else is going to be, hacking into Rehoboam from the corporate offices. And he's all like, you can't be two places at once. Your plan's terrible. Ha ha. The irony.
Mm-hmm.
So many Doloreses.
Yes. I wonder how many there are now. She's probably making a new one every 20 minutes.
It takes a while to print. The 3D printing's still very slow. To print.
I don't know. Maybe she's improved it.
Do you think it's Dolores's or Dolori?
Dolori.
Dolori? Okay. So there's many Dolori out there. And of course, one of them is Connells. So Connells, the Scottish guy, he's going to help. He is at the inside offices. He's got Bernard with him, but Bernard's still in maintenance mode with that little clicker guy. So Connells gets into the system, and someone was talking about this is how they get to see the future. They make the future. I think Connells was saying this to Bernard to try to convince him that what they're doing is okay. But what they're doing is keeping people in their loops. It's no different than Westworld.
Right.
It's all coming together.
Uh-huh.
That's why it's okay that we're not in the park anymore, because it's still Westworld.
And this guy wanted the rest of the data from the people that had been to Westworld so that he could control them too.
That's still a good question. I mean, why wouldn't he have the data of those people? Do you think the ultra rich are born outside of Rehoboam's influence?
Maybe.
That would be interesting. That would be good to know. They haven't really told us why yet.
Maybe you can buy your way out.
We know, I think it was last episode that Sirach was saying that there's flaws in Rehoboam's system, and Dolores is the key to getting the data that they need. Mm-hmm. Something about Delos having done it better, but how did Delos do it better?
Scanned their...
We don't know. Well, I mean,
shit.
Like, they have the models of all these individual people, but how does he know that that model might be better at predicting behavior than what Rehoboam's already doing? I don't know. Maybe he's just making it up. Or maybe it's that rich people aren't in the system. He can't control them. That could be.
Could be. Who knows?
That would actually make a lot of sense. I mean, that's kind of how the real world is now, isn't it?
Yes, they are outside the tax system. That's for sure.
Outside a bunch of systems. Okay, so he starts sending who is actually Dolores, starts sending Sirach's personal file to Dolores. He gets that first. And then he's just standing by and waiting. The genre changes again to night clubbing, which doesn't seem to have any major effect, except the music changes and some of the lights are kind of
neonish.
Neon, yeah.
It's like a dance scene.
Flashing neon and then going back to normal.
Right.
At this point, the genre thing sort of lost me at this point.
I think they couldn't take it too deep because it's supposed to be a serious thing, you know? So if they made it like more, maybe they did make it more and they cut it. But if they made it too stupid, it would be like, this is cheesy.
Well, no. Well,
this doesn't belong in Westworld.
Yeah, I guess there's probably something to that. It's just like the noir seemed to accentuate the drama of them getting away.
Right.
And then the Flight of the Valkyries accentuated the action sequence. And then the love story thing was just funny. Mm-hmm. But the night clubbing thing didn't seem to do anything.
Right. Well, maybe it was, had already peaked at the love story.
It's
coming down.
I did have to take a note just because it's so silly that they had to skip their way onto the subway, which normally people would just jump the turnstiles. But this is the future, so you can't do that. So the crime people had to use their crime toy where they got to push a button, and then the subway things stopped working.
They got a free ride.
I'm going to go on Amazon later and see if any crime toys are for sale, because it looks like a lot of fun.
Okay. Could be useful.
All right. So Dolores on the subway there, she says what she's going to do now is uncage people.
Ooh.
And Liam is protesting because this is going to just lead to rampant chaos.
Yes.
And she doesn't know what she's doing. Some things people shouldn't know about themselves. And he starts giving the crime buddies like a little bit of info on themselves. You know, one's going to go down a dark path. The other one has a brother and he's going to go down a dark path.
Right.
Yeah. And
do you really want to know your future?
But if you know that, then could you then
change
prevent it?
Right.
Yeah. Like she'd go to her brother and say, listen, the path you're on right now, there's proof, you know, you're going to get really fucked up. So let's leave the city. Maybe let's go somewhere else, somewhere quieter, something. You could change the future, I would think.
Could you? Because people know the choices they make are leading them down a bad path, but they do it anyway.
Well, but there's always a reason. I mean, it could be
not always.
You could go down a bad path because of untreated depression, but you could also go down a bad path because
but you can't always treat depression. You can't, because people don't know they have it.
This is the future, man. They've cured all diseases, so they say.
Well, they didn't.
Well, but they haven't cured economic inequality, which is a big reason people go down the crime path. And then, sure, some people are just psychos. Like some people just want to be bad. But that's a pretty small minority.
Caleb is one of those people. He doesn't want to be bad, but he's a person that can do bad things.
I brought it back to Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
He's just drawn that way. He doesn't want to be bad.
It's true. That's exactly Rehoboam's point.
Rehoboam drew him that way.
Right.
Well, but he was a good little boy once upon a time. Not even corrupted him. He was a soldier. We don't know what else he did. He was a soldier. As far as we know, he served honorably.
They probably gave him like that drug that they gave the soldiers in Vietnam, I think.
Amphetamines?
Yeah, well.
Or Agent Orange? No, that wasn't a drug.
No, that was poison.
Well, they did that too, though.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Something like heroin or something. It was pretty bad. Anyway, got everybody hooked, but they would like go into psycho war mode.
Well, they got the implant in their mouth. Like, that's a combat stimulant. For sure.
Are you, like, you mean for real?
No, in Caleb's mouth.
Oh, okay.
Like, the soldiers have that implant. So they're definitely drugging the soldiers.
Yeah, so that makes them go crazy and they don't even remember.
Maybe. Well, and Caleb has flashbacks. There's something he doesn't know. And we don't know what that is yet. Okay, so Caleb gives this little speech about rats and how they had to make a bunch of rat traps, but it led to a message about false hope. and how Rehoboam is giving people false hope because everyone thinks that they can, and Liam thinks they're giving people hope, but it's false hope because these people have their lives planned out for them, which again feels a lot like reality right now.
Right.
You know, most people, everybody dreams of the quote unquote American dream, right? You work hard, you make it big, you get a big house and so on, but that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. It's like 1 in a trillion, right? You
work really, really hard and you barely scrape by.
Right. That's what reality really is. And that's what Rehoboam is doing to everybody. Mm-hmm. And probably to a more exaggerated degree because people might not be allowed to have kids and all that shit. All right. So Dolores makes the decision. It's go time. She tells Connells to send everyone their profiles. And you start seeing text messages or whatever show up on the subway. People are clicking the links and they're getting the full dossier of everything about them and the people they know and love.
Right.
People didn't seem to be taking too well to that.
No. I can only imagine.
Crime Girl got to see about her brother and how he's going to be dead in 4 to 6 years.
Right.
This one lady saw that her daughter was going to commit suicide in like 5 to 8 years.
Oh, yeah, the little girl.
But maybe you can change that now that you know.
Can you?
Well, if you're living your life on the rail and you're just going through the motions because that's all life's presented you with, if you now know that something bad's going to happen, if it snaps you out of it, then...
Yeah, but the problem is your economic status.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's not going to change just because of this.
You're not given choices because you can't do anything because you don't have any money.
But maybe that mom is like totally checked out when she's at home and maybe this will, you know, kick her into action. And when she comes home after work, she'll spend more time with her daughter or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully.
Hopefully. We like that little girl. She seemed like a good egg. All right. And as this is all happening, Connells tells Bernard that Sirach's coming and he's going to have to choose a side. Now, we do get another genre shift, I guess, as Space Oddity starts playing, David Bowie song. And I don't know if that's the last genre or not. But as they're walking through town and Caleb's seeing everything in slow motion, we're seeing chaos happen. The data went out to the whole world, not just the people on the subway, and Liam is freaking out because people are starting to loot and set things on fire already. It's only been a few minutes.
Right.
Right? But shit's going down. Connells has a line, I think he was the one saying this to Bernard, but he says, the right info at the right information at the right time is deadlier than any weapon. So what does that mean to you in terms of what Dolores' plan is? Is it death?
I think either she's hoping to have humanity to destroy itself.
Possibly.
Or to free the innocent people, but she just didn't think it through.
Well, I mean, I think Dolores is the hero of this story.
You do?
Right now, sure. Because, yes, a whole bunch of chaos is happening right now, but that will settle down. People.
Will it? It's totally like Purge.
Well, there's still laws.
What's the point in following them?
I think you got to give it a couple weeks. But most people are still going to want to like... You haven't ever lived in
a bad neighborhood.
Well, the whole world's a bad neighborhood now?
It's scary.
I get
it's scary
sure.
to live in neighborhoods where you can hear gunshots. And
I don't disagree with that at all, but I think there will some people that are spinning their wheels are going to have to start taking an active role. Like, you know, the president or whoever the fuck is going to have to be like, hey, guys, we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this.
Depends on who the president is.
Right. Well, we don't know. But local government, you know, right now it's governors and mayors that are trying to save this country through their actions because our federal government isn't doing shit. So there will be leaders that rise from this, I guess is my point. And it's going to get ugly.
It looks pretty bad.
But on the other hand, we don't know if Dolores really is the hero or not because maybe her plan is for humanity to destroy itself. Mm-hmm. Maybe she wants this chaos to be as bad as possible and she's not trying to uncage people. She's trying to have them all kill each other. We don't know.
We'll find out next week.
Because it would make sense if she was the hero that's literally trying to un-Westworld the real world. Mm-hmm. That would be great. I'm all for that. I mean, what would you rather live in like the Matrix? I mean, that's basically what it is, right? Like you don't really have free will.
I don't know.
So would you rather live in the Matrix and be comfortable-ish, but probably, but never really have anything to hope for? Or would you rather take your chances?
So what is there to hope for in life? I have kids.
You were allowed to have
a place
kids.
to live. I was allowed to have kids, right? I shouldn't have been allowed to have kids from my upbringing, I should have been on the bad path.
And yet somehow
I took a left turn.
Mm-hmm.
I hope for vacations, but nothing really like truly meaningful. So I'm all right. I'm all right on my path so far, but I don't know what they have in store for me, down the future. Maybe I'll die in 5 years.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's all their fault.
But it's also about your kids' futures. Not since you do have kids. Do you want them to have the ability to choose what they want to, if
it depends on what their choices they have. Like, are they going to be living in a wasteland?
There's 5 kids between us, right? So if even one of them, if their future thing says like, could be unstable, children not recommended, or children prohibited.
No, I'm just talking about what the environment is like, or what kind of world are they living in at that time? Okay,
so since the Earth is sort of now like seemingly clean and pollution free, but we lost Paris and we lost the elephants, if Rehoboam really did save humanity from the brink of total destruction, does that justify the Matrix element of not having free will?
No, I guess not, because if I were the people that didn't have a chance and to live the shitty life, I would not agree with it.
And maybe it was necessary. Like right now,
we could
in
use
the real world, our environment is slowly healing itself because no one's driving around and, the pollution is down.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
We just needed some crazy ass diseased bat.
If global warming stops, I think like every country on Earth has to make a bat monument.
Yeah.
Just a big statue of a bat, our savior. But so there has to be like, we don't have, like, we kind of have the free will. Like I can leave my house and, go knock on my neighbor's door and say hi if I want to, but I'm not supposed to. Like we do have an element of our freedom taken away right now, but it is to try to stop bad things from happening.
Right. There are places that are being policed for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some places have it worse than what we have. Right.
But we're pretty, we follow the rules and we're pretty white.
Well, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we don't benefit from that, just sort of general privilege. So like if nuclear war was starting to break out one way or another, like if the world, global warming, animals are dying out, if humanity really was theoretically on the brink of extinction and you have to use this computer to start manipulating the system and that winds up cleaning up the world's act, maybe that's the greater good for a while.
That's his point.
For a while.
For a while. You can't just not do it anymore.
Once the world stabilizes, don't you think you should maybe relinquish control? Not so much the way Dolores did it. Like if you could
people can't be controlled. That's the problem.
Well, but Rehoboam
everybody
is controlling.
Is so selfish.
Well, Sirach is selfish, I would say.
Everybody is selfish.
I think he's just
Human
enjoying...
beings are selfish.
Sure. Come on. Animals are selfish too.
You can't let them have control because they can't control themselves.
If we let Sophie choose between bacon and no bacon, she will choose bacon every time, even if it's bad for her.
And so do people.
We're all selfish. But Sirach is enjoying playing God, right? Like he's the only one that has full access to the system. I'm sure it's a little stressful at times.
God.
Do you think it's his noble duty? Because he really does murder some people.
He thinks it's because he's the one that built it. So he's got to be like the one that makes sure everything is the best ideas go into it.
But that's his idea. That's his version of what the best ideas are.
Are they good ideas?
Well, not if you're saying people don't have free will.
I don't know.
So I'm just thinking like he probably was doing some good for the world when all this started.
Right. But he went too far.
He definitely, well, he just went on too long, I think. Mm-hmm. And Delos is no better. Obviously, they're doing weird shit with their data harvesting.
They were probably just like, hey, let's check out what kind of data we have now. And then they downloaded everybody's shit and they're like, wow, what can we do with this?
Well, I think if Sirach had just sort of slowly phased out the system because the world was okay now and people could start having free will back, that would have been fine. And no one would have had to know. But instead, Dolores is taking things to the extreme. But it seems like she's trying to be the hero. Doesn't it?
We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah. All right. So what else? Oh, and then in the middle of the space oddity in slow motion, a couple guys come out of a car. They're about to shoot Caleb in the face or body. And Dolores steps in front of the bullets. She takes 3 hits. And she's fine.
She's just fine, right?
She's just fine. Last time she got shot, she was not fine.
Right. Caleb had to save her.
She's very confused about her own abilities.
Maybe she's improved herself.
Maybe she programmed that back out. But she could take bullets without getting hurt at the end of season 2.
I don't know.
Maybe those guys actually hit a vital spot that one time. It went like through the holes in the mesh.
It hit her milk bag.
Pow. One of these days, Dolores, one of these days. Pow. Right in the milk bag. Oh, boy. Okay. So they get away. We cut to Sirach being very, very mad. He's starting to lose his cool. And Connells and Bernard are still okay. Connells wants to show Bernard this facility. He has pictures of it on the tablet. Ashley arrives. There's a little bit of a scuffle.
Good old Ashley.
Yeah, he's back. And they get the clicker.
They got the clicker.
They have the clicker now. So Connells is no longer in control. But Sirach's people arrive. And basically, I mean, Connells is ready to sacrifice himself. He tells Bernard that he's irreplaceable. So Connells is like, well, I'm just a copy of Dolores, so whatevs. But
Bernard is the only copy.
Yeah, so there's something really
He's
important
supposed to
about
protect
Bernard.
him, right?
Dolores wants Bernard to survive all this for whatever reason. Maybe he's holding the data.
I bet he is.
He could be. Maybe he's holding the data.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
He had that whole brain malfunction.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she slipped all that data in there between his...
And he keeps having these flashbacks.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what we're going to find. He's holding the data. And Dolores has the encryption key. So the two of them together...
They're the key and the...
Yeah.
The key holder. What is it?
The key master.
Key master.
The gatekeeper and the key master. There we go. That means they're going to have to fuck.
Yeah.
It's about time.
I know.
Yeah. Those two. Okay. So Sirach has a little chat with Connells through his little hologram power. Cool. And Connells activates a little thing and takes credit for doing the bad of putting all the files out there and then explodes the entire room, if not half the floor of the building.
Kapow.
Kapow. Which means that nice little lady that's Sirach's right-hand man, she's dead. A couple of guards are dead. It didn't really do that much. It hurt the building probably more than Sirach's operation. Right. You blew up a Sirach hologram.
Just a way to get out.
Well, it was pretty neat when Sirach was looking at the hologram of the lady, though. And
yes,
then
and she like,
go plaque and turns into plasma right in front of his face. That was neat.
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, Dolores and Caleb are making for an airfield. Liam's all mopey, and then he gets all angry. And then Caleb starts having flashbacks. So I don't know if that's from the drug or not, but he starts losing it. And Liam gets shot in the middle of all this while he's telling these people how worthless they are. Mm-hmm. The girl crime buddy, she just shoots him. It's fine. And then they leave.
Good riddance.
But Caleb was involved in something. He was flashing back. There was a dark room.
Right,
there was
some
a guy
kind
with
of
a
war
hood.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was going to be sort of a wartime torture scenario. Mm-hmm. We did see, so there was a guy, they sort of pulled part of his hood off. We weren't sure who it was. I was starting to think maybe it was Dempsey. Maybe Caleb did something to Dempsey under, Sirach's control or Rehoboam's control.
This guy looked
But then they flashed to the guy real quick.
Right.
And I immediately recognized him, didn't I?
I don't know. Did you?
I said it while we were watching. I said, was that Enrico Colatani?
Oh, yeah. I have no idea who that is.
Colantoni.
Who is that? Is he a
well, I
recognize him. Singer?
I recognize him from two big things. Galaxy Quest, that comedy Star Trek kind of movie.
Okay.
And also from Just Shoot Me, the David Spade sitcom that was on for many, many years. He was like the head photographer guy. So I know him. I love him. I know he's been in lots of other things too, but I immediately recognized him. And then in the credits, it turned out I was right. He was listed right there, Enrico Colantoni, and his character was named Whitman.
Whitman.
Thank you, credits, for that spoiler. So we don't know what role Whitman is in all of this. I'm sure it involves some kind of box of chocolate. But there was something happening there that Caleb knows this guy might have done something bad to him, but we don't know who he is. So
he looks like a suit.
Oh, we also see Caleb he was like in a chair or a bed or something, and it was bright and some kind of medical facility. So I'm wondering, was that Sirach's facility? Was Caleb edited? I guess is my question. Seems like they're kind of leaning towards that.
Yes. Gosh.
And just before Liam dies, he whispers, "You did it," a couple times.
Right. What did he do?
So I'm thinking Caleb was edited. Maybe Caleb was never a soldier in the first place. Maybe all the memories of him being in battle is just mumbo jumbo nonsense put in there by the system. But he did something and then was edited again to forget that something. I'm guessing.
What did he do?
It could even be one of those things where he has like a trigger keyword, like Order 66 from fucking Star Wars. And if Sirach gives the right command, Caleb will just turn into a death machine right there on the spot.
Right. That happens.
Could happen.
It does.
Uh-huh. Especially when you can edit someone's genetics.
Of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm buying that.
Let's see. Sirach's in his airplane. He finds out that his file was taken. So he's still pretty mad. And then he manages to somehow contact Dolores directly. They have a little point-to-point, like, FaceTime session.
Right.
She can see him.
Did he think she was there? I thought.
In his plane? No, I think he had called her. I just don't know how he actually made that phone call.
Okay.
But she had the glowy eyes thing happening that you really liked, that cool.
He hacked into her glowy eyes, her sparkle eye. Sparkle eyes.
So he's trying to tell Dolores that whatever she's doing, it doesn't matter because he's in control of the system. They have a short conversation about saving humankind and what role he's willing to play. He says something about that he would be willing to sacrifice. I don't know if he said sacrifice himself, but at least make sacrifices to save his kind, humankind, which I just had to take note of because of all the conversations going on right now about people saying like, well, I'm an old man and I would gladly sacrifice myself to keep the economy going. But those guys aren't going to sacrifice themselves because
and they're not helping with the economy.
They're TV personalities. Everything's going to be done for them. They don't have to venture out into the real world and get sick. Right. And I was also wondering, if their sacrifice is being made, maybe Sirach's sacrifice was something he did to his brother too. Like what happened to Bro? We never found out.
I think that Bro's against him and he put him in the cell and made him go crazy.
That could be it. Maybe Sirach was planning to take over the world and Bro's like, hey, maybe this isn't the right path. Mm-hmm. And Sirach's like, sorry, Bro, you're too unstable.
Right.
That's probably what it is. And then finally, we get our little miniature cliffhanger in the form of some kind of delivery. Some guy walks in and he's like, delivery for Dolores or whatever, or maybe for Caleb. And Caleb's like, I didn't order anything. He's like, bro, I just deliver it. And it's this very long, thin canvas bag. Very long.
Right. Is this the missile launcher?
I don't know. Oh, not from earlier.
No.
No, that was gun size. This is much longer. It could be weapons.
Could be.
It could be
a boat mast.
It could be a boat mast that they're going to use on the airplane. I don't know. They don't tell us what's in the bag. They get on the airplane and they fly away. Yep. And
antenna.
Communications relays. Right. Sure.
Could phone be. Home.
Don't know. Hopefully we'll find out next week.
I'm sure we will.
Next week, it looks like we're going to have more of Maeve and William, just based on what little we saw in the preview. But they also made it clear that there's only 3 episodes left, so they better get to the fucking point and tell us what Dolores' plan really is.
And it better be good.
I love playing the guessing game, but I cannot decide what to guess as to whether or not Dolores is trying to save humanity or if she's really trying to lead to its downfall while, just having Caleb help.
Right. I mean, people are going to die.
Probably already are.
Mm-hmm.
Shit's getting set on fire. Cities are burning. Probably okay out in the countryside, just like a few people in a farmhouse. They get these files and it's like, it just says like boring on the file. They're probably all right.
Farmer.
It's a good thing everybody has a phone. They can download that.
No
stuff.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. What about that one guy that was like pulling the phone out of his girlfriend's hand because he saw something he didn't like on his own profile?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of that.
Yes.
I'd just wait for the kids to go to bed and then look at theirs.
Oh, no, I can't even handle it.
You wouldn't want to know?
No.
But then you can change it.
Okay, well, no. No.
No?
You can't know everything about people because that's just wrong.
So you're on Liam's side.
No, Liam's the bad guy, right?
He's the whiny kid. Whiny adult.
The rich guy.
The rich guy, yeah.
Right.
He said people shouldn't know everything.
Well, they shouldn't. No, like you shouldn't know everything about me and I shouldn't know everything about you. Like we shouldn't see your entire life growing up,
Be very boring.
Mine would not.
Like you'd see a lot of weird like masturbation stories that like no one ever knew about. But other than that, like nothing interesting happened.
Mine was very interesting.
Yeah. No, I'm sure of that.
That's all I'm saying about that.
But you'd still want to read your own file, right? You just wouldn't want me to.
No, I don't want to relive all that. Oh, it would be awful.
All right. But it would tell you your future?
I remember enough.
I know.
Mm-mm.
I would just put myself to sleep, just bored. I did nothing interesting as a child, unless you count a lot of role-playing games.
I don't know if that's interesting or not.
I don't know either. Is that interesting?
To some people it is.
Yeah. If you think that's interesting, tell us. What would you do if you could look at your own Rehoboam file? Would you want to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to see it for your kids or your loved ones? Would you want to know everything? So hit us up. You can find me on Twitter at Pot of Thrones or on email, jeff@potofthrones.com.
Mm-hmm. And I'm at Jennifer. No.
Nope.
I'm Jennifer at potofthrones.com.
Nope.
And
okay, yes.
on Twitter, I'm Kid Free Weekend.
Yep. That's it. We made it through. All right. Well, it's late on a Sunday night. We're going to go to bed. Thanks for listening, everybody. Let us know what you think. Really, I mean, there is a lot of good philosophical stuff here. So hopefully we'll have some of that to talk about on next week's episode.
You sound like a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Sleep tight.
Tucking you in voice.
Go the fuck to sleep. Stay the fuck at home. That's the big mantra now.
Yeah. Stay home.
Wash your hands.
Stay safe.
Just wash your hands, people.
Put a condom on. Your fingers. Your hands.
Finger condoms. We should start marketing
Put
those.
your hand condoms on.